friends. I'm Karen, and this is the Family Food for Moms podcast. We're talking about inspiration for family cooking and dining. Today, we're going to be talking about ways to foster and grow family closeness and togetherness at the dinner table, making dinner time meaningful and special. It can really transform a simple meal into a chance to connect with each other, to reflect on your days together, and to really relax after the craziness of your day. So the first thing to do, I think, is to create a good atmosphere. You know, when you go to a restaurant that is mellow, some beautiful piano music playing, and there's dim lights, and there's a beautiful view, and you immediately sigh with relief and start to relax. So to create an atmosphere at home that makes everybody sigh and relax is a wonderful thing. So setting your table thoughtfully, using maybe your favorite tablecloth and cloth napkins, using candles, dim lights, twinkle lights to make the environment feel like it's something special. Putting on some soft music, and then decorating with whatever you like to decorate with flowers or any kind of beautiful tableware, pretty glasses, your favorite crockery and silverware. And perhaps you want to fold the napkins in an elegant or a fancy way. We have some napkin folds on our YouTube channel, Family Food for Moms. You can fold your napkins like a shirt or a rose or a bow or a Christmas tree. There's lots of options. And then try to involve everybody in getting the meal ready so that they're aware that it's a special time. Maybe everybody can dress up a little fancy, or you can have a color night where everybody wears one thing of a certain color just for fun. That's a lot more simple and relaxed than a fancy dress-up dinner, but they're both special. Then I think it's important to make sure that you're all disconnected from the day's worries. I think that setting the table nicely and having music playing and sitting down together already does this a lot. It helps you to disconnect from anything that's a distraction or a burden or a worry. But it's important to put away phones, to put away computers or laptops, and also as a mom to put away worries that you're thinking about. Even as a dad, dads need to kind of put away the work day and have energy for their children, and same with moms, for the conversation and for the togetherness. And then also anything that might be requiring your attention. So if you're busy cooking something for the next day in the kitchen, or if there's something you were half busy with, if you need to finish unloading the dryer, it's better to get those things out of the way or put them off until after the meal so that you're all set to be focused. Which brings me to the next point, very important to be present. The evening's not going to be as connected or as close if you're half there and you're half thinking about something else or having to jump up and do things in the middle. It helps so much if mom can sit and relax, if dad can sit and relax, and if everybody can be 100% there for the meal. Be present, be thinking about each other, have the space to ask each other questions and listen to the responses, have the energy to connect and communicate and to have that fellowship time. Then it's also really important to slow down and savor the meal. So having different courses helps. I've mentioned this before. So it doesn't have to be complicated, but instead of eating everything off of one plate, start with one part, perhaps the vegetables, and then follow with meat and potatoes, and then perhaps a little something for dessert. So slowing down your courses makes more time for conversation, makes the meal slower instead of rushing. So every part of the meal can be slower. You can savor the flavors, you can talk about the food and focus on the specific tastes and textures that you enjoy. And then during that time, you can have conversation. So making it a point to really enjoy the food and making it a point to really enjoy each other. in a similar way to the French and many other cultures do in their meal times. If you want to listen to my episode on what we can learn from the French about dining, it's episode 6, and I talk about ways that the French are really good at engaging in a meal together and enjoying their food and enjoying their communication during the meal. Another idea is to create traditions. Over time, you can develop special traditions that are something unique to your family, like having a family toast to something before a meal. This could be really fun. You can pick a theme, but everybody can toast to something along the lines of that theme. Or you could have everybody share something they're excited about. Perhaps one of you could read a Bible verse that's special to you, and a different person could do it each week. Or someone could read a poem they really love, or perhaps that they're learning. We've had great fun with poems like The Charge of the Light Brigade. You could get one of your younger children to share a poem or show a picture or talk about something that they've learned lately in school. So having certain traditions gives the children something to look forward to and gives everybody a focus point to start the meal off so that it's easier to start a good conversation. Sometimes I find our family can get stuck in silly conversation mode, where we talk about really, really arbitrary things, and that's okay for a little bit. But it's nice to refocus and get into a bit of meaningful conversation time. So doing something like reading a poem or even reciting something together, that can always reset your conversation. Then a similar one is to practice gratitude together, and that would be to start or end your meal with a moment of gratitude. Each person could mention one thing they're thankful for, or each person could pray something they're thankful for, something perhaps to do with the food, like a grace prayer where each person prays something specifically about the food or about their family that they're thankful for or excited about being part of. So practicing gratitude is a great habit. Also, along this vein, I think it's a great way to include family history and or country history. We've got a couple of books that are written by Granny about their lives, and it's lovely to read a little section and think about how life was back then. We've also got a couple of recordings of our parents talking about times in their lives when things were very different, when prices were very different. It's fun to talk about that, and again, it starts a good conversation. Or if there are old newspapers that you can dig up and look at for fun, or something could be passed around, like this was the medal that Granddad won in this war, and you can talk about that part of history. Anything that sparks interest. Perhaps you could talk about the space program and what's the latest developments and show a video about that and then talk about it. If you do introduce technology for a little bit to watch a video or something, then that can be very inspiring, but then it's good to put it away again afterwards. So there's so many topics about current world affairs or history that are wonderful to bring up as topics to start your conversation around. And then it's great to ask each member of the family, each child, what their thoughts are on it by maybe asking specific questions that are tailored for their age and level. And then another obvious but simple way to enhance conversation is to share something from your day. Take turns sharing a highlight from your day. Sometimes it's hard to get going and people aren't sure what to say, so maybe Dad can ask a specific question like, what did you find scary today? Or what was one fact you never knew before that you learned today? It's a very simple ritual, and it helps to foster communication and helps you to connect with each other and relate to each other by understanding more about how your day has been. We've got conversation starters that you can download on our website, which are also great for getting conversations going, especially when they seem stuck. So you take a conversation starter card and then you answer that question, or one person could ask another person what the question is on the card. So to find those, go to familyfoodformoms.com/conversation. That's familyfoodformoms.com/conversation. Another way to enjoy the evening and to break the ice is to try a themed dinner, something like Taco Tuesday or comfort food night or food or cuisine from a specific country. You can make this as complicated or as simple as you like, but it's always exciting to explore dishes from different countries, and it adds an element of fun and conversation that is kind of different to the normal. Then also playing a game is a great way to relax together. And sometimes we do this right at the table in between courses, like Tenzi or Uno, or the story game where you write a part of the story on a piece of paper. Everybody starts their own story, and then everybody folds the piece of paper over and passes it to the left, and then each person writes the next part of their own story, folds it over, passes to the left. So you have these 5-part stories, but they're all mixed up between everybody's stories, and it's great fun to read them. Same as Mad Libs are very fun to do. Or a game of Would You Rather, where you offer 2 options to see which is the lesser of 2 evils for each person, or perhaps their favorite thing out of 2 good things. So any kind of fun conversation helps you to feel connected with each other and helps your kids' tanks to be full and helps you all to be much more relaxed than you were at the beginning of the meal. I really like the one where mom or dad brings a conversation that's been on their hearts or that's been in the news or something that they think would be beneficial for the children to talk about. And sometimes it turns into a really valuable conversation time, especially if you have something prepared that you want the children to understand, but you're also open to hear all their thoughts about it. And sometimes it's hard for children to do this because they're not used to it. They're not used to sitting and talking, and they want to jump up and go and do their own thing. So in that case, you can start really slowly with perhaps just a 5-minute conversation after a particular course, and you say, okay, we talk about this for 5 minutes, then we're going to have dessert, and it's going to be exciting. So you just need to sit still and listen. Obviously, if you've got older teenagers, then again, you can tell them, okay, we're going to do this for 10 minutes, and then we're going to go and watch something, or you guys can do your own thing. So they slowly get into it, and then the reward of being heard and being connected and close, I think, helps with the next time, doing it longer and it coming more easily to your family group. So a little thoughtfulness beforehand, a little intentionality, and then connection. Dinner time can be a treasured time for your whole family. So I think the most important thing to remember here is that the goal of this time is to be close and to be connected and to be present. So it's not to make it more complicated. It's not to make it more stressful. It's not to make it busy. It's just to try and connect with each other and disconnect from the craziness of life in general. So if it feels stressful, then just start with a small way to change what you do at the dinner, or to add to what you do at dinner, or to add to your conversation, something small, and then add whatever feels comfortable to you so that it helps you relax. Often as mom, others will take their cue from us, and if we're enjoying the time and are peaceful, then they will be too. Last night, after recording this, I decided to have a family meal along the lines of what I've been speaking about. So I gathered the kids together and got them helping me in various ways. A couple of them helped to set the table, and some helped to make the appetizer. What I like to do sometimes when I don't have an appetizer planned is this cucumber and cream cheese and basil starter, or appetizer. It's very yummy. Basically cut slices of cucumber and put about 6 or 7 on a side plate. Then you add a little cream cheese that's been softened, and you put half a slice of tomato or red pepper on top, and finish it off with a little bit of basil pesto, or just basil leaves, and a bit of salt. Sometimes I put some olives or carrots on the plates. So it makes for a great kind of deconstructed salad that's a bit different and fun. Then we put out a few games, and I asked everybody to find a poem or a hymn or something that they'd like to talk about or read. And then we sat down, we had our starter, everybody got a drink to put in the fridge. We have individual drinks sometimes on special occasions. And then while we were sitting around the table at the beginning, we each talked about something from our day. Sometimes a fun fact we learned, or something we enjoyed doing, or something that went wrong, or that was amusing. Everybody mentioned theirs. And we had our appetizer. Then while we were clearing that, we were chatting about various topics. And then we started to read the individual poems and things. So everybody read either a fun poem or some kind of serious poem that they enjoyed, or a excerpt from a book. One of our kids read an excerpt from Lord of the Rings, one of them from the A.A. Milne book, Now We Are Six. Some very cool poems and things. And then we had our roast lamb and roast potatoes and such. The meal hadn't been a lot of work at all. We just put the lamb in the crock pot on low for 8 hours. We did brown it on 2 sides. It was a leg of lamb. Then we added salt and pepper and rosemary and thyme and just let it roast. And we added a little bone broth in the bottom to make the gravy with. And then the potatoes we steamed, and later on we just turned them into roast potatoes in the oven with a bit of butter on top and some salt and onion powder, and then we baked them. So it was a very easy dinner. We kind of all hung out in the kitchen while the lamb was being carved and the potatoes were still cooking, and we were making the gravy. My son made the gravy. And then we served, and we continued with reading our poems and things to each other. And then we started playing a game of Tenzi. We also did a toast where we toasted to something that was meaningful to us. And then we ended with some tinned peaches and fresh raw cream. Very delicious. I also said to the kids at the end, if they can walk all the way around the table with a dice on their heads without it falling off, they can have a little chocolate. So they were all very keen, and the older boys were doing 2 or 3 dice at a time, piled on top of each other on their heads. Everybody won a chocolate, so it was lots of fun and chatting and relaxing and real connection and closeness. We also put on some Celtic music in the background. We didn't dress up for this one. We wanted to just keep it simple for everybody. So it wasn't something I planned in advance at all, but it just kind of worked. So I hope you get to try a fun meal in your family soon. Hope you have a blessed week, and thanks for joining me today.